Hello students, welcome. In today's lecture, we're going to talk about a very important topic, that is the power sharing. Clear? But particularly, we're going to discuss about the power sharing in India. So in this particular video, I'm going to discuss this topic in a very easy way, so that all the students can understand the concept. And as I have already mentioned, that the main motive, the main objective of CBSE Minds is to make the basic concepts strong, to work on the conceptual part. Clear? So let's understand this topic in a very great manner. I hope it's going to be useful for all the students, and especially the students who have plans to appear for competitive exams in future. Clear? So it's going to be very helpful for them as well. So let's start the topic for today, that is power sharing in India. See, first of all, let us understand the very basic meaning of power sharing. Clear? See, once again I would like to tell you that whenever I'm taking any of the topics, the only requirement, or you can say that the only thing which I ask all my students to pay attention to is to understand the concepts once again. Okay? So first of all, let us understand the meaning of power sharing, isn't it? So there are two words over here. The first word is power and the second word is sharing, isn't it? So simply what it means how the power is being shared, or we can say what is the formula of the sharing of power. Clear? So let's see in the first line. In a democracy, all the power does not rest with any one organ of the government. Clear? Now see, first of all, when we talk about organs of the government, clear? Just I'm going to write down in short over here. Clear? We have got three organs: legislature, executive and judiciary. Clear? We're talking about these three organs. Now the power is shared between these three. The power is not, you can say, it does not rest with any one of these organs. Clear? So the first point says that. The second point says, therefore the power is divided between different organs of the state. That is, it is divided between the legislative, executive and the judiciary organs. Clear? So the power is divided in between these three organs. Clear? And I'll be telling you exactly what are the functions of these organs, you can say, in their own fields. What do they do exactly? Clear? So this division of powers between the different organs of the state is known as power sharing. Clear? So I hope that is clear. If anyone will ask you what is the meaning of power sharing, I'm very sure by now you can answer them in a very easy and you can say definite in a definite manner, that power sharing means the division of powers between the different organs of the state. Moving ahead. Now coming to power sharing in India. Clear? Again, the power sharing in India we can study under two heads. Clear? The first is in the horizontal power sharing and the second is the vertical power sharing. Clear? So let's understand these two forms of power sharing in India. Now first, that is horizontal power sharing. Now horizontal means what? In the same plane, isn't it? Clear? So when the power sharing is happening, you can say at one level, that is called as the horizontal power sharing. Clear? So now as I have mentioned that there are three organs of the state. Clear? So these are the three organs, that is once again executive, legislature and judiciary. Clear? So now what is happening? The power is being shared between executive, legislature and the judiciary organs. Clear? Horizontally. Clear? Like for example, let me just tell you exactly what is the work of these organs. Talking about executive, clear, the work of the executive is to run the country on a day-to-day basis. This is the work of the executive. Now talking about legislature, the work of the legislature organ is to make laws, is to legislate. Legislate means to make laws. And then the role of the judiciary organ is what? Is to, you can say, uphold the laws which are made by the legislature. Clear? If anyone violates the law, then who is going to restore that? It is the judiciary who is going to restore that. If anyone, again you can say, the judiciary also has got the power to punish the persons who violates the law. Clear? So basically judiciary protects the law. Clear? If we don't have anybody to protect the law, for example, if someone is violating your rights, clear? Now if you cannot go to anybody to restore your rights, to kind of to complain that your rights are being violated, then what will happen? You can imagine for yourself, isn't it? So that is why now these three organs are keeping a check and balance on each other. Clear? So coming back to the topic of horizontal power sharing, so over here the power is being shared between the executive, legislature and the judiciary, you can say, in a horizontal manner. Clear? Now coming to the next one, that is vertical power sharing. Clear? Now we all know the meaning of vertical. Vertical means what? Top to bottom, isn't it? Now the power is not only shared between, you can say, in the horizontal way, but also in the vertical way. Clear? Now how does this happen? Please have a look over here. See, when we talk about horizontal power sharing, once again, clear? Let's say this is the executive over here, this is the legislature, and this is the judiciary. Clear? So this is at the union level or at the central level. Clear? Likewise at the state level. Clear? At the states level, the same thing is there, that is executive, legislature and judiciary. Clear? So power is being shared over here also, isn't it? Now we have to understand two things over here. See, when you look at, you can say, at the level of the union, it is horizontally, isn't it? There is horizontal sharing of power, but also there is sharing of power, you can say, between the union and the states. Clear? So you have got, you can say, in the same plane over here, and then you have got a vertical power sharing between the union and the states. Clear? So this kind of power sharing is known as vertical power sharing, and this is what is referred to as the federalism, or we can say the federal form of government. Clear? Now see, what does federalism say over here? The definition is put on the slide over here. Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. Clear? Now what is the meaning of constituent units of the country? In our case, in the case of India, it is the states, isn't it? Because India is, the constituent units of India are the states. Clear? So federalism clearly states that it is the, you can say, when the power is divided between the central authority and the different states. Now this kind of division is known as federalism, or we can say the vertical power sharing. Clear? I hope that is clear to you now, isn't it? Moving ahead. Now coming to the next topic, that is types of federations. Now see students, one thing we have to understand, that right now we have studied that in the vertical power sharing, clear, the power is shared between the union and the states. Clear? This is federalism. But again, there may be different types of federations. Clear? Like for example, like coming together federalism, and then we have got the second one, that is holding together federalism. Now what are the differences between these two forms of federalism? It is very important for us to understand. Clear? So see, I'm going to give you a very simple explanation for this, so that at least you can understand the the concept of it. Clear? So talking about the first one, that is coming together federalism, which is found in these three states, countries, Switzerland, America and Australia. So over here what happens? The power is divided between the central authority and the states. Clear? However, the states over here are having lots of powers. The states, in the case of coming together federalism, they are having lots of powers. Clear? But when we talk about the second one, that is holding together federalism, clear, which is found in India, Spain, Belgium. Now what happens in this form of federalism, the states are there, they have also got the powers, however they have got very limited powers. They have got very less powers when we compare this kind of federalism with the coming together federalism. Clear? Like one more way is there to understand this in a very clear manner. Like for example, if I say a state in India, clear, an Indian state has less power as compared to a state in the United States of America. Clear? An American state has got wide powers as compared to an Indian state on the other hand. Clear? So these are the two types of federations, and these are the differences between the two types of federalism, that is the coming together federalism and holding together federalism. Clear? Once again I would repeat it, please understand, when we talk about coming together federalism, clear? Now what is there in this? In this form of federalism, the constituent units, or we can say in simple words, the states have got lots of powers. Clear? There is, we can say, a kind of separation of powers between the central government and the state governments. Clear? They don't interfere with each other, and the states enjoy very wide powers. However, in the holding together federalism, the states have got very less powers. Always the central government or the union government, they have got the ultimate powers, and they exercise the ultimate control over the constituent units, or we can say simply the states. Clear? Which is found in our country. Moving ahead. Now see, there is something that is unique to India. India has also got a third tier in the Indian federalism, a third tier in the federal system. Clear? Like what we have studied, in a federal setup, the power is shared between the union government and the state government, isn't it? The power is shared in this particular way. Clear? However, in India, there is again a third, you can say, tier, a third tier, which is referred to as the, you can say, local government. Clear? So we have got three tier government. Clear? First is the union government, then is the state government, and then at the you can say bottom end we have got the local government. Now this is something which is very unique. It is found only in India actually. Clear? Now let's see over here. A third tier of federalism was added in the form of panchayats and municipalities, which was added in the Constitution of India by the 73rd and the 74th constitutional amendments of 1992. Clear? Just remember that the third form of federalism, which we talk about when we talk about the panchayats and the municipalities, or in short we can say the local government. Clear? Now this thing was given, the panchayats and the municipalities, they were given the constitutional status by the 73rd and the 74th constitutional amendments, which happened in 1992. So therefore we are having the three tiers in the Indian federalism. Clear? Now why this became important? Because we all know that India is a very vast country, isn't it? So to govern the lower levels, you can say to govern the areas in the villages. Clear? So therefore the power was given to the panchayats. Now why to the panchayats? Because it was thought that the local issues can be best settled by the local people themselves. And this is something which was you can say envisioned by Mahatma Gandhi, that the panchayats should be given the freedom so that they can act as units of self-government. Clear? So that is why the panchayats and also the municipalities, clear, they were given the constitutional status. And what happened after this, after they got the constitutional status, they were given more powers. Like all the you can say powers related with the local issues were handed over to them. Clear? So this is how the third tier is functioning in the Indian federalism. Clear? And second line says over here, as in any federation, these different tiers enjoy separate jurisdiction. Clear? So they have got separate jurisdiction, separate area to look after. Clear? That is the meaning of jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means a kind of you can say their area, their territory. Clear? Their rights, these things. Moving ahead, now we'll look at the division of lists of legislation. Now this is something very, very important for all of us. Clear? Now I'm going to tell you very important facts over here. Please understand. See, we all know now that India, we are having a federal system whereby the power is divided between the center and the states. Isn't it? The power is divided between center and the states. Clear? Now how is the power divided? We are going to look at that particular fact over here. Clear? Now let me just make it in a very simple way. First of all, executive, legislature, and then judiciary. Clear? I'm just putting the first you can say initials over here. See, when we talk about executive, again understand over here, we have got union executive and then we have got the state executive. Union executive means the executive at the central level, at the union level, and then state executive means the executive which is functioning at the state level. Clear? Likewise, we have got the legislature at the union level, which is called union legislature, and then we have got the state legislature at the state level. Clear? But talking about judiciary, the judiciary in India is integrated. Clear? The judiciary in India is integrated. Clear? Now what does this mean? This means that the entire judiciary, is functioning you can say as a single body. Clear? Where we have the Supreme Court at the top. Clear? And below the Supreme Court we have got the high courts, and then we have got the lower courts. Clear? There is no strict division just like in the case of executive or as in the case of legislature. There is no strict division in the case of judiciary. Yes, we do have the high courts, but however I'm going to explain this part to you in some separate video. But just understand, there is no separate division like we are seeing in the case of executive and legislature, which is divided between the state executive, state legislature, clear, and the union executive and the union legislature. Clear? Now in this particular slide we'll be discussing about exactly what is you can say under the executive part. You can see over here the union executive. Now who all are there under the union executive? Clear? Always remember the people who come under the union executive. Please remember this fact, it is very, very important. See, first of all, it comprises of the President of India. Clear? Then the Vice President of India, then Prime Minister, clear, along with his Council of Ministers, or we can say the Council of Ministers, which is led by the Prime Minister, clear, and then Attorney General of India. Clear? I'll be explaining you exactly what about the Attorney General of India and all the rest of the offices, but right now just simply remember that the Union Executive comprises of President, Vice President, the Council of Ministers, which is led by the Prime Minister, and the Attorney General of India. Clear? If someone will ask you, who all are there under the you can say in the Union Executive, you should have this answer with you. Clear? Likewise, when we talk about the executive at the state level, it comprises of the governor. Clear? I'm writing in short, governor. Then the State Council of Ministers, which is led by the Chief Minister. Clear? And the Advocate General of State. Clear? I'm writing in short, please see to it. Okay? Advocate General of State. Now this comprises the state executive. Clear? Now when we talk about the legislature, clear, when we talk about the union legislature, now who all are there under the union legislature? Remember that it consists of Parliament of India, clear, Parliament of India consists of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and also the President. Clear? So the Union Legislature comprises of Parliament and President of India. Clear? This is the Union Legislature. But when we talk about the State Legislature, it comprises of you can say if the state is having two houses, clear, the State Legislative Assembly plus the State Legislative Council, or if the state is not having the State Legislative Council, then only the State Legislative Assembly. Clear? In short, you can just write down State Legislative Assembly, clear, and if the state is having the second house, that is State Legislative Council. Clear? Apart from this, the governor of the state. Clear? So this is the State Legislature. So this is the composition of the Union Executive and the State Executive, and also the Union Legislature and the State Legislature. Clear? Now see, when we talk about legislature, as I have mentioned to you, that the work of the legislature is what? Is to make the laws, isn't it? The people who make the laws are known as legislators. Clear? Clear? And it is made by the legislature. Legislature means what? It is the body, clear, which frames the laws, which makes the laws. Isn't it clear? Now coming to the point, like how is this power divided between the union and the states? Very, very important. Please pay attention to this particular point over here. So the constitution, clear, the constitution under the 7th schedule, clear, we have got we can say various schedules in the Constitution of India. I'll be telling you all these things in some other video, but remember that in the 7th schedule, clear, under the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, there are 3 lists of legislation. That is the union list, the state list and the concurrent list. These 3 lists are also known as, we can commonly refer to them as list 1, list 2 and list 3. Clear? List 1 means union list, list 2 means state list and list 3 means the concurrent list. Now our constitution under the 7th schedule, now this kind of you can say division is done with regard to the lists of legislation, like who has got the authority to make laws on what subject. Clear? So it is divided in this form. Clear? Now whatever subjects are there under the union list has got a list of subjects. Okay, now whatever subjects are there in the union list, only the union legislature will have the power to make the law on those subjects. Clear? It means that only the union legislature, let me just change the color over here for better understanding. Okay, see, now this is the union legislature. I'm marking it with red. Okay, this is the union legislature. Now union legislature can make laws on all those subjects which are mentioned under list 1, or we can say union list. Okay, likewise whatever subjects are mentioned under state list or list 2, the state legislature, they will have the authority or the power to make laws on those subjects. Clear? So we can see that the constitution has divided the list of legislation between the union and the states. Clear? And now we have got a third list, that is called the concurrent list. Now what does this concurrent list say? Whatever subjects are there in the concurrent list, that is the list 3. Clear? So either the union legislature or the state legislature, either of them can make a law on all the subjects which are mentioned under the concurrent list. Is that clear? There is a point to be noted over here. Like for example, on a particular topic, if the union legislature and also the state legislature, clear, they both of them have made a law on the same topic which is there in the concurrent list. Now if in case there is a conflict between these two laws, if there is a conflict between these two laws, always remember that the law which is made by the union legislature is always going to prevail over the law that is made by the state legislature. Clear? the laws made by the Parliament of India, or we can say the Union Legislature, is given an upper hand over here. Clear? Now one very important question over here. Let's say if there are certain subjects, clear, which could not be thought about when our constitution was being made, clear, but it is there in the modern, you can say, in the modern world. Now that subject is not mentioned either in list 1, list 2 or list 3. So in that case, who is going to have the jurisdiction, or we can say the authority, to make the law upon that subject? Is it going to be the Union Legislature, or is it going to be the state legislature, or either of them can make the law? Clear? See, if any subject is not there under any of these three lists, clear, then only the Union Legislature, that is the Parliament of India, only Parliament has the right to make a law on that particular subject. Clear? And that list is called as residuary list. Please remember that. Clear? It is known as residuary list. I hope I am clear. Moving ahead, we have got more topics to study. Clear? So I'll be taking lectures on those topics in the next videos. Clear? And once again, I would like to remind all my students that if you have any kind of a query, please write to me on this email ID. Clear? And also mention mention a complete details like your name, your class, which standard you are in, clear, your contact number, clear, and I'm going to get back to you on that particular query. Clear? And if the students who are watching my class, if you have liked this lecture, if you want to see more of such lectures, so I request all my viewers, all my students, to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications whenever we upload a new video. Clear? So that's all for this particular topic. We'll be meeting in the next video with a new topic. Take care. Goodbye.